Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Rizka Melia Febriyanti. My ID number is 1821222049. I'm the second presenter of this group, so I'd like to explain about principles in materials design. As we know that curriculum contains structured set of lessons and academic contents like materials, learning goals that will be used by the teachers. It means that materials should be clearly linked to the curriculum reserve, right? So now I'd like to explain about 3 phases of materials development. The phase number 1 is curriculum planning. You can see the activities on the PowerPoint. Yes? This phase is about defining intended learning outcomes, assessment, and content and pedagogic requirements necessary for a student. Phase 2 is curriculum implementation. The activities are instructing learners, monitoring and adapting instruction, and after that, writing supplementary materials or additional materials. It can be defined as defining process of executing and putting into practice all the written materials that we have been planned in curriculum planning. The third phase is curriculum evaluation. In this phase, we try to evaluate the curriculum. It means that we have to test the learners and then construct and reconstruct of the curriculum. So we can see that is the curriculum objective being achieved or have been achieved, and we can modify it if it is necessary. So from the 3 phases, we can conclude that the selection and the use of materials should be considered well. But what are the guidelines in the selection of instructional materials? Before we are going to the guidelines, let me remind you about last meeting's materials. We have been told about the rule and the benefits of instructional materials, right? So the conclusion is instructional materials are devices that assist the facilitator in the teaching learning process. So instructional materials are supplementary training devices, not self-supporting. Okay? So now let's move on to the guidelines in selecting instructional materials. Guideline number 1, we should consider about, do the materials give a true picture of the ideas they present? To avoid misconception, it is always good to ask when the materials was produced. It means that the material presented must be clear, must be relevant. For example, if the materials is about news, so we have to make sure that the news is relevant and factual. Guidelines number 2, do the materials contribute meaningful content to the topic under study? Does the material help you achieve the instructional objectives? It means that if the teacher's teaching target is to improve students' speaking skill, then the teacher must ensure that the materials used supports that target. The guidelines number 3 is about the appropriateness. The materials should be appropriate for the student's age, intelligence, and experience. For example, if we teach elementary school students, we can use literature or song. So it is impossible if we teach about how to critique newspaper, right? And the next guidelines will be presented by the third speaker. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry if there's any mistake. If there are many mistakes, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.